Hello, my name is Mike, and welcome back to my playthrough of the Royal Trap, Confines of the Crown. We just rescued Princess Cassidy. At least I thought we did, but Prince Callum here tells me that it's not Princess Cassidy. It's his long-lost brother, Prince Caspian. Which is kind of confounding. The princess is Prince Caspian. Oscar takes a step backwards, sheltering Cassidy, or Caspian, behind him. You're crazy! It was you who attacked us in the garden! Is Callum our enemy, or is he telling the truth? What? Alright, let's review the facts. We already know that, there was a woman that looked like Princess Cassidy, according to the servant girl that just got knocked out. Yeah, she said that Prince Gaston had a similar-looking girl. So either Prince Gaston had Princess Cassidy, or this new guy that looks like Princess Cassidy. Yeah, I think there's some truth to what Callum is saying, so let's let Callum explain. Let's not get too excited here, we're all supposed to be friends. Callum, do you want to explain what in the world you're talking about? You would think, with the years I've spent planning for this moment, I would have a better idea of what to say. This isn't how I meant it to turn out. Your prince is right, I did attack him in the garden, but only him. I would never have hurt Cass. I just wanted to talk to him alone. If you wanted to talk to Oscar alone, why did you make me go with you? You really don't remember anything, do you? Wait, hold on, I'm trying to understand. So Callum, you're saying that this is Caspian, your younger brother? Yes. I am not. And you took her or him from the dance last night because you wanted to talk to her? Yes. Then how did Dolores get involved in all this? I left Cass in my rooms alone while I waited for the fuss to die down. That thieving page must have somehow found him there and decided to grasp the advantage. I should have never left you alone. You're sorry that someone else kidnapped the princess after you had properly kidnapped her first? You may have found some crumb of courage, but you are still a fool. I was willing to risk anything for my goal, except Cass's safety. What goal? Saving my little brother, who was stolen from me all those years ago. I'm so confused. Have we ever met Princess Cassidy, or have we always been talking to Prince Caspian? I'm very sorry, but you're delusional. I am not Caspian. Prince Caspian died when I was a baby. That's what everybody believes. That doesn't mean it's the truth. Prince Callum might be insane. That could also be a possibility. I assume there's a story behind this. Why are you listening to anything he says? He lied to us. He attacked us. He forced you. I'm listening to him because I want to understand what's going on. Wisdom before judgment. And whose wisdom do you think you are? What? No, she's right. We should talk about this calmly. Once we understand what we're thinking and feeling, then we can come to a solution that benefits everyone. But if you please, I'd like to sit down. Of course, you should rest. He gallantly sweeps a patch of grass free of twigs and beetles. Oh, you're very kind. Once they're settled, Callum begins the tale. Cass was my little brother, and the closest person in the world to me. And by Cass, I mean Caspian, not Cassidy. I know it's very confusing. All of our other siblings were much older, men in the making. In the meanwhile, our royal parents seemed to have little interest in their youngest offspring. I know now why it was, but at the time it never occurred to me to question. My life was the nursery, my toys, my minders, my baby brother. Then they came and took Cass away. They said he was ill, that he was coming down with the plague and had to be quarantined with special nurses. I never saw him again. It was half a year later that they told me he was dead. But if he was ill and we were always together, why was I fine? If he had to be confined, why not me? That's it. That's the reason for believing that Cassidy is Caspian? Of course not! At the time, that was my reason for believing that life was unfair and would always be so. I wasn't interested in my new little sister. I didn't want a replacement for Cass, and so I didn't think anything about the princess. But that baby grew older, and she still never came to the nursery. Years, and I never saw her once. Sometimes I wondered if I were the one with the plague, who had to be kept away from my siblings. Oh, so that must mean that there never was a Princess Cassidy. Prince Caspian became Princess Cassidy. Maybe? I'm just going to sit still and let him explain this. I'm still a little lost. And then I was old enough that my parents were forced to give me my own rooms with full-time tutors. And once you were gone, then they took the nursery for the princess? I suppose I didn't much care. I was used to it by then, being shoved aside, out of the way, ignored. It wasn't until a public event when Cassidy was about 5 years old that I finally laid eyes on the princess. And it was Caspian. Older. Too old for 5 years and wearing a dress, but I knew his face. She is your sister. It's not that strange that she might look like Caspian. Not similar in some way. The same face. Look at me. Do I have the same face Cass does? Well, no. No one else saw it. No one else knew him like I did. I didn't even question why he was there. All I knew was that my brother was alive. I ran up to him, calling his name. That was when my father struck me. I remember that. That boy, that was you? They told me he was a thief who snuck in and that he might have carried the pox, and that's why they beat him. Yes, you would remember the beating. It was pretty savage. Your father beat you? No, he had the guards take me away and teach me a lesson. Once only. That I was wrong, and a fool, and a disgrace, and I was never to go near Cassidy again. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. You have no need to be sorry. You didn't cause it. You wanted to see your brother, remember? He turns back to Callum. Your parents treated you unfairly, that's clear, but it proves nothing. You made wild accusations in public, and they did not want the scandal. Caspian and Cassidy are different people. Cassidy was born before Caspian died. It's public record. Yes, and for so long I couldn't understand it. I almost started to believe that I was wrong. Then it all became clear. Caspian and I were nothing to them. The infant Cassidy was the heir my parents had been longing for. I think that baby died, and my wise mother could bear no more children. There could be no further princess. And so I believe they chose to switch Cassidy for Caspian and raise him as their heir of Guelinor. They've done it so well that even he doesn't remember who he really is. Cass, they kept you isolated so that no one would break the illusion, so that I could not tell you the truth. Everything I've done was to get you out of their clutches so that you could be free. They stole your life. I'm here to give it back. But well, there's one obvious problem with this whole story. Caspian was a boy. Cassidy is a girl. You are a girl after all, right? Of course I am! You can't simply put a dress on a boy and call him a girl. It wouldn't work. Bind a living thing tightly enough and its growth can be stunted. Oh, no! That's not good imagery! He looks at his sister and his voice takes on a hesitant tone. They've kept you isolated. I have to ask, do you know what is different between a man and a woman? Men explore and conquer, women nurture and defend. Not what I meant. I'm talking biologically. You know, down there, between the legs. I'm talking about your pork and beans. What I think he's trying to say, in his very elegant way, is to say that men's bodies are different from women's bodies. It's true. The pelvic bone for a man is closer to about 65 degrees, but for a woman it's more rounded and about 90 degrees. So all we have to do is rip out your pelvis and examine it. That's why women wear gowns. That's true, but it's more of a question of what's under the gown. Have you ever seen men and women unclothed? What? You can't ask a lady a question like that. Well, she can, because she's a lady herself. Of course I haven't. It wouldn't be proper. In paintings or statues, maybe? Books of engravings? I would never look at such things. Not even Sylvia de Gausser's The Myriad Ways? It's very famous. Convenient, isn't it, that they sheltered the princess so profoundly? There's nothing unusual about a princess being modest. No, this is definitely something strange. She can't even grasp the point of what we're asking. What point? Oh, for soil's sake. We turn to discover that Dolores is apparently no longer unconscious. Still bound, she twists herself part upright to speak. They're trying to find out if you've got a tail in front. What? How long have you been listening? Long enough, Lady Lackey. I should have shut your mouth and slit your throat. Oh, and then who would you have to take the tasks your noble hands are too pure to carry? If none of you have the eggs, I'll lift her skirt and see if she's got 'em. What? No one is lifting any skirts. If that page tried to put a hand under my skirt, she would not have a hand. She would pull back a bleeding stump. It isn't necessary. There are other signs. Yes, the pelvic bone. I'm glad we're on the same page. I am, after all, supposed to be trained to observe. I set my preconceptions aside and examined Cassidy closely. She has a slim figure and a narrow waist. Her bosom, while quite modestly endowed, has quite a feminine shape to it. That much could be achieved by a slender dandy in a corset, but other features are far more difficult to alter. Let's see, what's she going to go for? I doubt she's going to actually go for the pelvic bone. Maybe she's going to go for the Adam's apple. Look at her hands. She has long and graceful arms, but small hands. Men's hands are larger in relation. Her chin is smooth and soft and has no hair, and her throat lacks the male bulge. She did go for the... She's got a couple of good ideas, yes. And her voice. That is your natural voice, isn't it? You're not forcing yourself to speak in a high tone. No. You didn't have your voice mysteriously change a few years ago? No. Well, there you have it then. She's a woman. I did tell you that. But you're Caspian. You have to be. Don't you remember me at all? The nursery, you and I. You used to stand on the window seat and point at things outside to make me tell you about them. You liked to watch me fire a catapult or spin a top because you couldn't make it go as fast. Your favorite toy was a stuffed cloth purple dragon. You used to sleep with it. My favorite toy was a little blue bear that I carried around with me everywhere. I don't remember ever seeing a toy catapult, and I didn't enjoy spinning tops. Mostly, I liked dressing up my dolls and having them act out stories. She walks closer and lays her hand on Callum's arm. I'm sorry, but the truth is, Caspian is gone. I'm sorry, he sounds like he was a sweet little boy. I wish I'd known him. I wish I'd known any of you. I was always so lonely growing up. So, you're really Princess Cassidy? I really am. I can see the expression on Callum's face as he admits to himself, perhaps for the first time, that his baby brother is dead. Then everything, it was all for nothing. No. To his evident surprise, she wraps her arms around him, nestling her chin on his shoulder. It meant that we got to be together and to talk to each other at last. Otherwise, we would still be strangers. Hug me back? No one ever hugs me. Slowly, cautiously, Callum puts his arms around his sister. I don't know why our parents treated you so badly or why they kept us apart, but it was wrong. But I'm an adult now. They can't lock me away. We can start over. She steps away from him, still smiling. What you did because you loved your brother. That's not wrong. Yeah, really sweet. Oh, good. Now, since we're all loving and forgiving, how about you let me go? Who untied you? You are going back to the castle to face trial. I ought to get rid of her right now. It would save us a lot of trouble. Because I can tell everyone that it was you who attacked Lady Feigning Blossom. Sure, you could kill me so I couldn't talk, but then you'd also have to kill Miss Nosy and Prince Simple too, huh? What? Was that your plan? Of course not. My brother wouldn't do such a terrible thing. He'd only threaten it. She's certainly loyal and forgiving, considering that she's more or less just met him and he kidnapped her. Would Callum have attacked us? This is a question here, let's see. Well, I suppose if I defend Callum, I'd be on Prince and Prince's good side. Maybe not Oscar's, but Callum and Cassidy would be happy with me. If I accuse Callum, yeah, Oscar would side with me, but I would perhaps lose a potential ally. I can't accuse Callum. Although, would he actually have killed us? I don't think he has any qualms about it, but he actually might have done it, but I'm going to defend him either. It's just the politically correct thing to do. Defend Callum. Of course, he wasn't planning to kill us. It wouldn't make any sense. He's outnumbered. With 2-on-1, it would be much too likely for one of us to defeat him or escape. If Callum wanted to cover his tracks that way, the smart thing to do would have been to leave Oscar in the castle. Well, he was trying to do that. He only hesitantly agreed, so yeah, I'm still a little unsure. Then he could kill Dolores, and then kill me, then hide the bodies, and Oscar and Cassidy would never know what happened. I pause, realizing that everyone is staring at me. What? Sometimes your mind works in strange ways. I find her logic refreshing. What were you planning to do with us then, if Cassidy were Caspian and everything went as you planned? None of this is what I planned, ever since that creature put his stick in the wheel. What wheel? It's an expression, you piece of crap. Oh, forgive me, my lord. My years of letters must have slipped my mind again. There is another question. What would you have done with Caspian if she had been him? Done? Whatever he wanted. I wanted to tell him about everything he'd missed growing up and help him find his own life again. Help him get out of the palace or prepare him to confront our parents if he wanted. It doesn't matter now. Nope, it doesn't. We'll go home and we'll talk to mother and father. This time they can't brush you aside. I won't let them. I will make them explain what they've done. So you see, it will be all right. Only, could I have some water and something to eat? Of course. You didn't feed her? What was I supposed to feed her with? I didn't bring your royal kitchen. What did you eat? She laughs at me. I weren't hungry. I was going to be rich if I were light on my feet. If I made it, I could eat anything I wanted. If I didn't, well, it wouldn't matter, would it? No, it won't. Oscar, in the meantime, is still looking at Cassidy. What happened to your shoes? I think they're still in the palace. If she went through those tunnels without shoes, we need to wash her feet before any scratches turn foul. I don't mean to be trouble. You aren't. Let's get back to the water. There's nothing more to do here. We have, after all, succeeded in our quest. The princess is saved and we are all heroes. Kind of, sort of, I guess. All is well. Good enough. Well, that still leaves a bunch of questions unanswered. Chapter 4, The Betrayal. Okay, looks like there's still a couple of plot twists left. We reach our earlier campsite. The princess rolls down her silk stockings and bathes her feet in the cool water of the stream, while Oscar hunts for some food. He finds some more asparagus and a few wild berries. Except for our surly captive, the scene is peaceful and pleasant. Oscar's fondness for plants and sunlight has led me to spend many days in surroundings such as these, watching him enjoy himself. I know the powers of Guelinor must be in great turmoil after our disappearance, and we ought to return as soon as possible, and yet no one seems compelled to hurry. What are those called? Branching asphodel. Asphodel, what a pretty name. Then she blinks at a glimpse of fast-moving color overhead. That's a peacock butterfly. Oh, I know every contour of my country from the maps I've studied, but it looks so different to see it for myself. Well, it looks like these two are getting along very well. I'm happy to see that. And then there is the person who is least enthusiastic about returning. Dolores. Hey, how about you just let me go? You've got your princess and your gold, and I've got nothing, so it's no harm done, right? Not a chance. I've got nothing against you lot. Untie me and I'll get gone. You'll never see me again. That's why you're staying tied. Soil's breath. You know what they'll do to me? Traitors hang. Maybe you should have thought of that before turning on your masters. Didn't do nothing you didn't do first. And them's your own family too. You carried off your sister, you plucked your own treasury, you coshed the little prince, you lied to him and her both. You half choked the life out of me. And you call me a criminal? Come on, Lady Valois, do you really trust him not to drop us both if he sees his chance? It's my life on the line, let me go. You have no right to talk about lies after the games you played with me. What games? Oh, she didn't tell you? Nobody tells you anything, do they, little prince? Your girl bribed me to break into her noble's rooms. Maybe she's a thief, huh? Let me go and I'll tell you what she said about you. I'm not listening to you. No one cares to hear anything more from you, wretched girl. Oh, no? Funny that. I thought you wanted to know what was going on in the palace behind your back. I see things you hadn't. You or your sister neither. I can tell you all about them. That Duke and his lady Sophie, for instance. You know what they're plotting? Cousin Sophia, what about her? She doesn't know anything. I do, and I can tell you if you let me go. The word of a known liar is meaningless. Ask your own questions. You'll see I'm not the one telling lies. I've played you fair. I've kept my promises. And what of your oath to serve? Oh, that. Look, do any of you really want to go back to that palace? You set foot inside and you'll be trapped. They'll never let you see the sun again, princess. And you, prince criminal, you think they'll forgive you for what you done? You've got your freedom and your wits and a good sum of coin. You could start a new life, all of you together. Her words do hold some truth to them. With such a sum of gold as that, I could buy land, a house, connections, enough to outfit and support myself while I built my place in society. Perhaps even enough to make investments to sustain my position for the future. It is not, of course, enough to establish me as anything other than what I am, a gentlewoman of low rank. Respectable, yes, but not among the highest circles. And yet it would be sufficient to grant me what I have never had, an estate of my own. But that would only be the case if the funds were mine in total and in truth, and they are not. Some of us have a concept of honor. Come on, do you want to be nothing but what you are forever? This is your chance. Come with me, any of you. I'll see you straight. That is enough! With a discarded bit of silk, he gags Dolores, ignoring nipped fingers and frantic squawking. We should probably start on our way back. If you've rested enough, I'll be fine. You can lean on me if your feet hurt. I will assist her. We all will. The walk back to the Palace of Guelinor is not so great in distance nor in difficulty, particularly now that we don't require such secrecy and we can use the roads. However, the new additions to our party cause us to be a bit slower. Neither woman can keep up a fast pace, although for entirely different reasons. Princess Cassie struggles on bravely despite her sore toes, but her entire life to this point has been lived in a glass bubble. The novelty of sunlight, open air, and wildflowers is wearing thin. She has no strength or endurance and must frequently stop to rest. The traitor Dolores, on the other hand, has no intention of making this easy for us. She must be prodded, dragged, and slung bodily over Callum's shoulder in order to move at all. As we continue our slow journey, Oscar falls in beside me. What did she mean? What did who mean? I said as I feigned ignorance. That page. What did you say to her about me? What did I say to her about you? I don't even remember. I didn't say anything about you, Oscar. She's lying. She's trying to stir up trouble. She knows the only chance she has to escape is if she can get us to fight amongst ourselves. Right. Sorry, I don't mean to be all sulky. It's been a rough couple of days. You're entitled. You should go talk to Cassidy. This is your best chance to build a relationship with her. You're today's hero, remember? You caught that page when she could have escaped. And you're her guide out here, telling her all about the plants and animals, so raise your head up high. Thanks, Maddie. And he hurries off to do as I've suggested, like he usually does. Poor Dolores, it was a good try, but she never had a chance. Oscar would never turn against me. As we near the palace, we catch sight of a figure in the distance. It's one of the knights. He's wearing the uniform of a soldier of Guelinor. Of course, they must be sending out search parties by now. There's Prince Callum. Hola, guard! Hola, I didn't realize he was Spanish. Hola, guard! The guardsman draws his sword on approach. He must find our appearance suspicious. One missing princess, the two princes who should be in the palace under lock and key, and two servants, one of whom is tied up. I suppose we do look a bit suspicious at that. Declare yourselves. Callum and Cassie of Guelinor, Oscar of Osendower, and his companion, Miss Valois, and our prisoner. It's all right, they're rescuing me. Are you injured, milady? Just a bit sore-footed. I don't suppose you have a horse? I would be happy to assist you, my lady. He comes closer and offers his arm. Uh-oh. But he hasn't put down his sword! Die, imposter! And everything happens at once. Cassidy is frozen in place, uncomprehending. Oscar's eyes open wide as he realizes the danger. Too late. Callum is already moving, but he was standing one step too far away. And I see Dolores lurching past me, still bound, driving her shoulder hard into Cassidy's form, knocking the princess off her feet and out of the line of the guardsman's strike. I take the same tactic, but apply it to the opposite direction, snapping a vicious sidekick into the guard's ribs. His armor pads him from any damage, but it drives him back and away from his target. With a quick pivot, I restore my center and draw my daggers. He feints, then sweeps for my legs, but my lack of armor stands me an advantage here. I leap over the strike, then swipe at his eyes. I'm not close enough to connect, but his head jerks back by instinct, keeping him off balance. Now he's angry. He brings his greater strength to bear against me, whelming blows that make the daggers ring in my hands. This is no sparring match. I can already feel a burning line across my arm where I failed to completely guard one slash. I've come in close again, trying to pin his sword, but I've miscalculated. The guard's heavy, muscular knee slams up hard into my unarmored midsection, knocking the breath out of me. Spots swim in my vision, and for a moment I can only bend over helplessly, vulnerable. But I have another advantage that he does not. I am not alone. As the guard raises his sword over my head, Prince Callum charges in, catching the guard's arm mid-stroke. Yes! Using his weight and his leverage, he flips the man onto his back, then pins him down with one knee. Die! He raises his hand, then slams the side of it down hard in the soldier's throat. No! This time it is too late to stop him. A crushed neck cannot be undone. What? Don't look! He pulls Cassidy away, leaving only Callum and myself to view the dying guard's struggle. As breath returns to my aching body, the guardsman loses his life. We should have questioned him. He was an assassin and a fanatic. He made no attempt to hide his target. He couldn't possibly have expected to get away cleanly. He intended to attack until he was dead. He was one of your guards, I think. He was in somebody's pay. Probably Duke Farad. You! He directs that shout at Dolores, who lies still bound and gagged on the ground where she fell after knocking Cassidy aside. Yeah, Dolores saved Cassidy's life. Did you know about this? Mm-hmm. I think we should take her at her word. She can't answer you like that. Alright, fine. He hauls Dolores to her feet and unfastens the gag. Of course I didn't know, you corkhead. How would I? You reacted. She did protect me. She only did that to try and save her own skin. Sure, wouldn't you? I don't want to die. I don't want her to die. I don't want anyone to die. Although that guy over there is dead. Right? Are you dead? He's almost dead. You remember that, Your Highness? Remember who's a killer and who's not. Is that man really dead? Yes. I see. Waving Oscar and Callum aside, she kneels beside the body and lays one trembling hand upon its chest. I'm sorry. May your rest bring you peace. No matter what they've done, I would not wish for anyone to die. He would have killed you if he could have. If his master had equipped him with a rifle or a crossbow instead of a sword, we might have not been able to stop him. Wait, if people have rifled weapons, why are we still using crossbows and swords? If we know about the technique of rifling, yeah, rifles are probably a more deadly weapon. Whatever. We should hurry. We can send someone to pick him up later. We need to get you to safety. Well, I'm not sure about that. There's enough able bodies here that we can carry him. After a brief and tense journey, the familiar stone walls loom before us. We cluster tightly together in case of an unknown danger at the final hurdle. Prince Callum is in the lead, sheltering Cassidy behind him. Then Oscar, then Dolores, and then I'm bringing up the rear. The princess should be visible enough for our group to be granted passage without argument, but a sniper's shot at her should be blocked by one of the two men. As for Dolores, someone has to keep an eye on her and make sure she doesn't try to run. She appears to have accepted her fate, but I wouldn't trust her not to turn on us at the worst possible moment. We reach the front gates. This time, Prince Callum's bellowed greeting is met with a chorus of hails. A full company of guards charge out to surround and escort us. Even then, our heightened nerves do not allow us to relax easily, but the soldiers make no aggressive moves. They do not even ask for details of how we came to be in this situation, but move us swiftly into the safety of the building. There we will have to give our accounting to the King of Guelenor. Inside, the guards suddenly come to a halt. Royals this way, servants that way. What? Maddie stays with me. I mean, Miss Valois. Only one of them is a prisoner. We have orders, Your Highness. Your parents wish to speak to you urgently in their private chambers. Oh, I don't feel good about this. I'm feeling very unsettled about this. Does this mean I'm going to be alone with the traitor Dolores? If so, maybe I'll be able to interrogate her calmly. It would not be appropriate for those not of royal birth to be admitted. Their statements will be taken later. I suppose... You won't let that one worm free, will you? Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on her. They will be guarded at all times. Oscar looks at me but says nothing. Cassidy draws herself up to her full height. Very well, carry on. Dolores and I are herded into a room to await His Majesty's pleasure. Your weapons. Oh, do I have to give up my knives? I'm so effective with them. Orders to avoid accidents. Indeed, another guard is already poking and prodding at Dolores to ensure she's carrying nothing at all dangerous. At least I'm spared that indignity, but I still have to hand over my awesome daggers. After that, the guards take up position outside the doors, preventing us from exiting, but otherwise leaving us alone. There is nothing for us to do but stare at each other and pace. I can only imagine what must be happening with the others. Will Prince Callum rage at his parents for having kept him in the dark all these years? He could be punished by the king. Will Cassidy and Callum bond? And what of Oscar? He could demand reparations for the assault on the garden if he chooses not to take Callum's side. Blast it, I wish I could be there! While I'm making wishes, I also wish for a cool drink and a warm bath. Sleeping in a forest does not suit me. You could at least untie me. You're a prisoner. Come on, what am I gonna do? Knock you over and take on the entire palace guard by myself? Just want my hands free, that's all. My fingers hurt. Ooh, I have the option of untying her or not untying her. Oh. Well, she makes a valid point. She's probably not gonna go off, but she's already betrayed my trust more than once. I suppose I will untie her, but only because she saved the princess's life that one time from the assassin. If that is indeed the princess, I have no idea at this point after all. So yes, I will go ahead and untie you. I wasn't given orders not to untie you, just to not let you escape, so yes, I will untie you. I'd ask you to promise you'll behave, but I've seen how seriously you take your oaths. If it's like that, I don't want your help. No, I'll do it. I struggle a bit with the tight knots, but eventually I have her free. She shakes out her hands, cursing under her breath, then scrubs at her face with clumsy fingers. Her eyes meet and hold mine for a moment, but her will is weaker than mine, so she soon looks away. Why did you do it? Yes, okay. This is what I was waiting for. I'm finally getting the opportunity to ask Dolores questions. And I didn't reveal her secret, and I untied her hands. So even though she's kind of a nefarious character, hopefully she cooperates with me a bit, because I'm really looking for answers right now. I'm getting kind of confused, and I'm kind of hoping she'll clarify some of these mysteries for me. Well, either way, I'll figure that out next time. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon as we try and unravel the rest of this mystery and figure out who it is that's going to be betrayed, because the title of this chapter is called Betrayal after all. So again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.